Chill here with Sirius Talisman. This is Venus hour. Mercury day moving into Soul night. Venus is 21 degrees Sag. Still not 22ing. Midheaven is ruled by Mars. That's in Capricorn. And ascendant applying to Jupiter. In Cancer. Moon conjoining Black Moon Lilith. And I had another Eureka, which is that those that didn't come up with sexual sovereignty honoring solutions how should I say that? I will say it as a positive sentence. Those that thought about sexual sovereignty honoring solutions have a strategic advantage that is unprecedented on a global scale. Now, it is both true for mundane life and for what people call emergency type of situations. I try to think about what did Lilith do in Scorpio. And we had Mars traveling through Sagittarius. Don't join anything. Okay. I think she had really accentuated that the theme of Lilith, which is sexual sovereignty, Lilith, the one that would not be with a violent partner. In Scorpio is survivalistic situations, and she has effectively stood to that test of the survivalistic sense, in which her sexual sovereignty is sacred. Nothing is sacred when that sacred is not honored. Not religion, not authority, not I don't know, anything that somebody could think about as sacred. When sexual sovereignty is not honored, nothing is sacred. And I think that in Scorpio she has really shown that. Now for me, Scorpio is ninth house, so I think about religion, philosophy, but also occult, or the word kind of like nothing is sacred is very ninth house. It is. I think it's correct to say it's tender interpretation. Um, Now, with Mars in Capricorn, we ask, okay, what are the implications? Saturn in Pisces can mean if somebody's refugee, or if somebody's in hospital, or in poverty, or even homeless. Sexual sovereignty will be determined. Okay, how should I say that? If there was no solutions that are sexually sovereign for all these conditions, it's going to have implications on those that didn't come up with solutions that honor sexual sovereignty. And it's all the things that I've been talking about in the past months, whether it was typhus, whether it was, okay, but all these things that can happen in war and so on, whether it's about smuggling someone, okay, if somebody needs to escape, if there were no sexual sovereignty honoring solutions, then the people that even they may escape, they might be murdered by the people that they raped. Okay, think about a person, oh, they managed to escape, da, 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 da. Yes, but they raped someone. That someone didn't have the solutions, they were honoring of the sexual sovereignty. Now that someone could be either used to assassinate them, or in some way if it caused the murder or the death, okay, of those who violated sexual sovereignty. And there's no blame shifting around that. And this is going to matter. Yes, it trines Neptune. Lilith and the moon trine Neptune. It means that Black Moon Lilith agrees with Neptune. and Jupiter as well. It opposes Uranus, which is a telltale for me that this is about sexual sovereignty to do with the occult, but particularly in times of, Mars in Saturn sign. When somebody is refugee, when somebody and depending on what is the nature of the agreement. If the nature of the agreement is honoring sexual sovereignty, there can be good, positive, long-term implications. Because Mars is separating from the square to Neptune. But if that agreement denotes of the opposite, then those who did not agree to honor sexual sovereignty, okay, for the yes, no, and maybe in spirit and in matter, will be reminded of this militarily when Saturn conjoins Neptune in 0° Aries. And gas may have to do with this because Mars would be a sign of air. And this actually sign of air that is the open sky. So I'm not saying gas chambers, but more effect of gas weapon. I don't know why. Like, why is one to do with another? Because gas companies, yes. Ooh, okay, it is gonna be like financial crisis. Those that thought, oh my God, I cannot stress this enough. Violation of sexual sovereignty in this war will have such implications that no, I think on no other war were such implications because this war is on sexual sovereignty. And particularly around the cult, the incubus, succubus, spiritual war, those spiritual wars that have been going on since before COVID, they're going to have implications such as unprecedented, let's say. But if the agreement between Neptune and Lilith is to honor sexual sovereignty, particularly in alternate consciousness states. Okay, Neptune, the dream state. Neptune also associated with drugs. Neptune is also can't be involved in channeling and divination, but with Saturn, the use of occult. Yes, if in all those situation states the void, the liminal spaces, sexual sovereignty is honored, then this will have good implications for long term, particularly when people would need to escape war. Even so much so as their lives will be spared and their identities would be concealed when needed, and they will have the documentation when needed um, if they honor sexual sovereignty. Saturn, documentation, Neptune, Saturn, okay, people that need to escape, people that violations will have terminal effect on religions. I saw this yesterday. There are certain religions that will no longer be practiced in a couple of years. I don't know which religions. Certain religions are going extinct. I don't know if it's new religions, old religions, monotheism, not, I don't know. But that yesterday I saw very clearly that the religions and the followers of religions that dishonor sexual sovereignty, and again, those things are on the long run, are going extinct. I'm saying another gnosis, it's a very good time to remove oneself from adhering to religion. It's kind of like what I said when Pluto ingressed to Aquarius with lodges. Same with religion. People today need to publicly denounce any connection to religion that violates sexual sovereignty. Any religion denomination that is in power with violation of sexual sovereignty, today they need to denounce it and publicly. Because there would be dead bodies upon dead bodies. Ah, because Venus is in Jupiter's sign. She's ruling over Uranus. Ooh, beliefs that call for femicide or support femicide. I saw something to do with Afghanistan. Uranus is around, I mean, the heaven of Afghanistan. Now, unfortunately, yes, there can be femicide. Children, young men, or heads of journalists, women as well. Um, People that have like all the religious people of old religion or tribal religion. I don't know, something to do with the moon, with the people, the beliefs of the people, or the old Orthodox people, religious, can both kill and die. women can die, and this is killing. Yes, it's not accidental here. Women can die because of wound around sovereignty, of individual sovereignty. For those women are of the people or have values that are the freedom of the family, whatever that means. Um, Again, my best recommendation would be to do things that make one happy. Um, and here I have to say, people will be with those that need them mostly, okay? Unless somebody has like a moon on Saturn right now. But even then, with Jupiter in Cancer, they can be, people will be with those that need them, and they will be, how should I say that? But they must honor sexual sovereignty. That's all. Okay, that's basically the issue. It's not about denying people of resources. So this just honor sexual sovereignty in spirit and in matter. And for that, no excuses, because if this is not honored, then there is no self to be with anyone if this is not honored. But if this is honored, then people will be with people. Okay, it means that if somebody is the presence is needed, or okay, then all they have to do is to honor sexual sovereignty, no excuses, and if they can do this, then people will be with them. If they cannot, it's problem. Okay, this is where Moon ingress to Sagittarius. You see, upon the ingress, I gave this benevolent message. And when is the 22 season begins? So we have a good 6 hours at least, even 7 hours, 8, nine, and getting close is tomorrow. As of in the Middle East, it's going to be probably around 11, but let's see. On the money. Okay. And oh, there it is. Oh, on the minute. Around 1:32, 1:30 or 2 p.m. for the Middle East, and you can make the calculation. So this is from tomorrow, with Venus already on the 22. So Venus will ingress to the 22nd degree pretty much together with Jupiter. It's Jupiter day tomorrow. Okay. So we're opening with a day that is accentuating the 22nd degree. And that's going to be for 9 days. Is there a way to be prepared? First of all, where is Cancer, where is Sagittarius, and where is Aries in each and everyone's natal chart? First house is the self. That means you. But if there are no other significations, it may mean that somebody is witnessing or somebody is hearing about, or it happens next to, okay, if it could be, I don't know, the ruler of the third house in the first, then it could be a neighbor shot dead in front of somebody points at you, misses. If this is second house, supermarket can be not the best day to go to. I have it in the 22nd degree with Chiron, so that's going to take a while. Third house, neighborhood, neighbors, siblings. Fourth house is home. Fifth house, now to be very honest, Jupiter in the sign of Cancer, it has to do with housing, okay? For Netherlands, 1800 chart, it triggers the moon and Pisces. The moon is next to Beta Persei in the Neher. Now, the last time there was something going on with certain moons, they tried to burn a building and the police arrived. uh, yeah. Fifth house, children, lovers, leisure activities. Might not be the best time to take a yoga class. Sixth house, work, pets, physical health, so people exercising and so on. Seventh house, partners, allies and enemies. Eighth house, marital partners, shared businesses, partners, things to do with the occult or occultists. Ninth house, academia, religious institution, something when traveling, airport, Rocky Mountains, or high places, tent house, public life, bosses, parents, 11th house, allies, while tending to one's dreams and goals, also enemies, okay, public enemies, or it can be the crowd of, and the 12th house, both like the 8th can have to do with the astral, secluded places, hospitals, things to do with the mental health, and bedrooms. So having either Aries, Sag, or Cancer in any one of these houses brings the risk to be accentuated by the house. Now, you have to see where's the natal Jupiter, Mars, and Moon, because those will be triggered by the events. For example, I have Mercury in Aries. It means that Chiron, that's next to my Mercury, is triggering also my 4th and 7th house. Now, what's more, Mercury ingress to the 8th degree, will ingress to the 8th degree. So Mercury will be closer to Antares, which creates a heightened sense of conflict to the already existing heightened conflict. How to prepare? First of all, remembering that there are no winners at war. From that point, trying to do the things that one loves and does not harm others. Divert the attention from power and control dynamics. Anything that honors and supports sexual sovereignty reduces conflict and can prevent loss. Another concept may be memento mori. Okay, well, this is a more perhaps Saturnian approach. If somebody is about to lose their temper, they have to keep a concept memento mori. If they turn into, the power trips and more than other times, this can bring the assassination of those who don't honor particularly sexual sovereignty and sovereignty. Throughout nearly the entire time, Lilith is still in orb with opposing Uranus. First from Scorpio, then from Jupiter. This topic may be a life or death issue, okay? Okay, Lilith in Sag is going to trigger a 22 Jupiter. Okay, they're not making aspects. They're not okay, she's separating from an aspect to Jupiter, but she's going to trigger Jupiter, which means that the topic of sexual sovereignty is going to be, let's say, if somebody is in risk of their sexual sovereignty being violated, they can murder. Okay, if they're afraid, let's say, to be raped, they can murder those that they're, okay. It is Lilith. Okay, if Venus 22 in, she could murder for her value of freedom. For example, if woman is not free, she can murder to be free. Very simply put, somebody tries to harm woman, she can murder him. She will murder over her value of freedom. That is Venus 22 in. Lilith is really accentuating sexual sovereignty because Venus, of course, it's also to defend herself, and of course one cannot be free if the sexual sovereignty not honored. Venus sees it more as if there's not will and consent, then she can murder, and it would be the right thing to do. Okay, Jupiter, a self-care murder. If somebody is threatening her that she will not be sexually safe or sensually safe with them, she sees that as murder threat, which indeed can happen in those cases, and as self-care she can murder. And then Black Moon Lilith is really, really focused on sexual sovereignty. To not be with a violent partner, she can murder. Again, a self-care act. Because if Venus sees freedom as a value, okay, her freedom as a woman as a value, Black Moon Lilith sees her sexual sovereignty as freedom. Okay, if she is able to say yes, no, maybe this is freedom for her. And over that freedom, she will murder. If she, yeah, doesn't have to be, but or to liberate herself from situations and circumstances and beliefs and people that don't honor sexual sovereignty, she will murder. If needed be, she's not gonna go out and okay. It's about freedom. It's not about. Now Venus agrees with Chiron. That's ruled by Mars in Saturn's sign. So both Chiron and Venus are ruled by Saturn. That's ruled by Jupiter, and the Moon would be crossing that Venus. And that means death, Saturn, that is connected with wound around sovereignty and is involving women and belief. Okay, this can also be, let's say, femicide, but it is, we can hear about that woman was murdered so and so and so, and that woman murdered so and so and so at the same time. Was be the wound can also be around identity. Ooh, if the the situations where they try to traffic people through certificates. Uh, some people who try to extort people to pay for certificates by being trafficked may find themselves in the canal. And now find themselves in the canal in Netherlands is kaput al goal. So, more things I can think about. I know this is it's gonna accompany us to the holidays. So these are not easy holidays. Um, and will take us through most of the planet going from this stellium in Sagittarius, where literally almost everything is focused towards freedom for the people. Jupiter in Cancer. And tending to the challenges that Chiron brings. But these 9 days are going to accompany us into the holidays. Not to the new year, but almost. And I said about the stellium in Capricorn, implications, 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 implications. And unfortunately, when I said that, I didn't imagine those implications to be deadly. But in the coming 9 days, a lot of them are. Okay, in Sagittarius, we liberate, and in Capricorn, what is not free dies. Free being person need not oppress another. Yes, it's Saturn ruled, so this journalist case in Iran is kind of weird, and that could be if something happens to this lady, and because she also has Cancer and Jupiter is in Cancer. Okay, if something happens to that lady, let's say, it could be 9 days of murder after that. Okay, because she has Cancer and Venus is about to 22 and Jupiter is about to 22. Jupiter in the moon sign Jupiter can be something that grows, both benevolent but also a tumor. And the Cancer is Cancer, you know. it's so and I said it's conflict religion, particularly January 6th, which is if we go when we go through these 9 days of the holidays, then we have January 6th that looks like a 9/11, and I hope until February 14 it will be okay, but um, um, now I want to say a little bit about those religious revolutions and stuff like that. Like I said, those that did not prepare in time sexual sovereignty honoring solutions cannot expect to be the winners of this war. And I'm not talking about the people that are at risk, okay, for that. But definitely, for the people, even the people are at risk. It happens regardless of gender. They should have at least, let's say, not violate sexual sovereignty. That can be a good measure against to improve upon the situations, because in times like this, people remember who the people that did not try to exploit. And in Nordic traditions, there are fascinating stories about entire villages burning because there was a story, and I'm not Nordic, so maybe in the bloodline, but I say maybe because we don't know what's in there. um, but they have this story where a lady is tenant, and she gives her last pen to the landlord, and then the landlord wants to traffic her. Um, Long story short, the entire village burns, and her spirit still haunts the place. Just so you'll see how the juxtaposition of housing and sexual boundary violation, housing, caregiving, sanity, village, tribe, people, motherland, water, 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 water. Those things that are living in the water, okay? Sedna, I know she's in Gemini astrologically as an asteroid, but Sedna, the Inuit goddess, is associated actually with the moon and the tides and what is living in the water that is edible, which people that live in the Arctic are quite dependent on. Food, 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 food. Those that see sex as food that somebody has to give them might not have food. Those that try to deprive people of food, to try to traffic them, will stay beyond hungry. Or, of course, they can be murdered. It doesn't have to be the worst case scenario. They can be murdered and die. And then they will not starve to death because they were rapists. So people, and here is, I want to give a survival tip. I'll tell you a story. I told it in Spirit of Matter when I was in Netherlands. First day I didn't find a shelter. Then, after a long soul peril, I got to shelter. It was a hostel that was turned into shelter. I know. We were 3 women, not a million, 3. Nice ladies all. One was a nurse that didn't have shifts in the COVID, yes, but all in all, nice ladies. And all 3 of us snoring. I underestimated what it takes to sustain life. 2 warm meals a day. We're treated fine. a hospital next where we found a coffee machine and sat all day, then walked in the freezing snow on time to get back to the shelter. Every day they said they might close, but three snoring women, very loud, the heating in the room, shower, warm water. I underestimated what it takes to sustain life, is what I'm saying. Now, as holistic health practitioner, when people are under stress, they snore more. Everything bothers them 10 billion times more. Any medical condition, physical and or emotional or psychological, tends to express itself more. If their sovereignty is not honored, that creates inflammation. Inflammation is heat. Heat is energy. If there are the grown adult, if somebody's being a bit controlling because they're stressed and they usually maneuver around that person, not in those situations. The arguments a person that had a good night's sleep and a person that didn't have a good night's sleep, two completely different type of dynamics. Gender doesn't play a role in those predictions. If you listen from the room outside, you would not be able to differentiate the gender of the person that screams. And of course,